Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection, and access to daily news digests from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, as well as guided meditation programs. Between a full-time job in IT and a full-time job in podcasting, it gets harder and harder to sit down and read the books I'm interested in. This is where Audible comes in. I can listen on my daily commute, relaxing, or while out running errands and still get in the books I've been wanting to get into. You can download titles and listen offline anytime, anywhere. The app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets. Now you can try Audible risk-free with a special 30-day free trial by visiting audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's audibletrial.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Don't let your busy life get in the way of that great book you've been wanting to read. Go get your free trial of Audible today. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. This is Geoffrey, and we've talked about many times before that I experience problems and struggles with my mental health, and really without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy does work. It's helped for me, but what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, or you're not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's really time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles, and it's time to start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is a customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And there's a special offer to Nerdery and Murdery listeners. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. That's betterhelp.com/Nerdery and Murdery. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
How in the hell did Ewan McGregor look like Alec Guinness? Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness look nothing alike. But somehow in this series, Ewan McGregor looks like Alec Guinness in Bridge on the River Kwai. How the hell did he do that?
Welcome to episode 182 of Nerdery and Murdering.
Big 182. I'm Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. So, obviously, we're covering a Star Wars episode this week, so it's very apropos that there was a news release on the upcoming Star Wars shows that are definitively happening. In December, we have Skeleton Crew. Looking forward to that. Yeah. About a group of kids who wind up on a ship and take all kinds of adventures. We have The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Prodigy.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I thought about. We have The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out. Mm-hmm. We have Ahsoka 2 coming out, which I thought that they were going to do one movie just with The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, but apparently they're going to be series, and then I think it's going to recap or finish everything with a movie about them both. Andor 2, which I'm actually looking forward to. I know some people didn't really like Andor. I did. I loved Andor. New Jedi Order, which is the continuing story of Rey. Dave Filoni's Imperial Remnant versus the New Republic, which I think is going to be really good. Dawn of the Jedi and David.
Whoa, hold on. Go back.
Which one?
The Imperial Remnant versus the New Republic.
Hmm.
Are we getting Heir to the Empire?
Yes, that's what everybody thinks it's going to be. Yes. That is the speculation from everybody that with Ahsoka having brought Thrawn full force into the universe, everybody is assuming that Filoni's is going to be the heir of the Empire. However, if they do that, they have to recast all the original cast. They're going to have to because they're all much younger than they are in The Force Awakens.
Yes.
So, so that's going to be interesting if it is going to be heir to the Empire, how that fits in with the whole recent trilogy, which a lot of people think is going to be retconned anyway.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of unhappiness about it, and there's talks that they're going to retcon that whole thing. But if you do that, the new Jedi Order doesn't make much sense with the continuing story of Rey. So it's all kind of convoluted how that's all going to work. And I'm sorry, I hiccuped.
You're
Um,
fine. I'm sorry. Please
um,
continue.
yeah, no. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting what Dave Filoni's is going to be. Dawn of the Jedi, and has been completely confirmed. Very excited. Um, uh, uh, um, crap. Glover's Lando.
Yes.
Yes. So there is going to be a Lando solo.
Please, for the love of God, tell me it starts with Billy D. Williams sitting in a room with somebody going, "Okay, so this one time," and then cut right into it.
There's no information about it. I have no
Damn
idea.
it.
I have no idea. There's no information. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes, but it's exciting time for me.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a really cool bunch of shows. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that is still rumored, so I didn't put that in here, but these are the ones that have been confirmed with
Right on.
Skeleton Crew first
Yeah.
in December, and then
Mhm.
everything else I think is 2026. So we may have a lot of time without Star Wars because Skeleton Crew may be all we have for 2025.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah,
not
we'll get
sure.
an episode in December and then more in January.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Hey, I'm cool with it. It's nice that we got new Star Wars. I mean, again,
agreed.
we remember the dark times. There was a period where we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have Star Trek, Star Wars, or Doctor Who,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and now we have them all.
Yeah, for Star Wars for a very long time, all we had was the books,
Hmm.
and then they came out with the prequel, which love or hate them, it still was Star Wars, and
Yeah.
there was good that came out of it, there was bad that came out of it. Um, and then we had a long period of time again where we didn't have a
Hmm.
whole lot, and then we got the new series. Again, good or bad, whether you loved or hate it,
It's
we
still
did have
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah.
Me being a Star Wars fan, I like The Force Awakens. I will sit here and tell you to this day, that's A New Hope revisited, is
Hmm.
all it is. Um, but The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, I wasn't a big fan of those.
I
Was not a
love
big
both of
fan of
those.
those. Not a big fan.
I was emotionally moved by the end of both of those films.
No.
When the little boy turns that ring over and
Which we
opens up
never get anything more on.
and he reaches over,
We never get anything
we
more
have a
on
new
that.
sir, we have a new Jedi Order.
I know.
That
I
could be
know.
that he could
It
be one of
might
those
be.
Jedis.
It might be. I don't know. Eh, there was a lot that was done very badly for
Well, my problem is they switch directors, you
they
know.
switched directors and they switched directions.
Yeah, yeah, it's like quick,
They
yeah.
you
Do what you're
know,
gonna do and just live with it. Don't
yes.
listen to the backlash. Just do what you're gonna do because we can always do more.
Right.
We don't have to deal with the Skywalkers. We can deal with other shit.
Well,
It's a big universe.
if we were going to deal with the Skywalkers, do Heir to the Empire.
Hmm.
Do Heir to the Empire and continue on with that.
You already had that story.
Um, we've got everything now called the Star Wars Legends, which are
Hmm.
not canon anymore, which means the whole Yuuzhan Vong War is not canon anymore, which I can kind of say I'm kind of glad about.
Yeah,
There was good things in the Yuuzhan Vong. There was a lot that I hated about the Yuuzhan Vong.
they dropped the
Um,
planet on Chewbacca.
yes, that's one of them. That's in Vector Prime, which is why DA Salvatore can go piss up a rope for me. Um, I hated him
Oh,
for
the
that.
Icewind Dale trilogy guy,
Yeah, that was not
R.
DA, RA Salvatore
R.A.
that
Salvatore.
yep,
Yeah.
that did Vector Prime, and I hated him for that. The Yuuzhan Vong War in the books went way too long.
Hmm.
Um, that was a brutal war, and it went way too long. But I really liked what they did with the with Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker and their son and the children of the Solos. I really love the direction for that. Jaina Solo has been one of my favorites.
Hmm.
I thought she was great, an exceptional pilot. I'd
You need
love
to
to s
dog that.
do what? Yes, I
You
did.
need to dog that.
I do have a dog named Jaina, and it's specifically for that. I love the E-wings in the Yuuzhan Vong. I thought those were great little fighters, and I'd love to
Yeah.
see those on the big screen. Um, there's a lot that can be done that I thought could have been done and could have been done a lot better. I'm very hopeful with this stuff that's coming out. I
Mhm.
especially I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They seem to know what they're doing. With a lot of this stuff, like I said, some people don't like Andor. I did.
I thought Andor
Um,
was exceptional. I loved. Oh, oh my God, Mon Mothma.
yeah,
Mm.
I love the Acolyte. I thought it
Yeah,
was great.
yeah. The Acolyte was brilliant.
There's a lot of people that hated on the Acolyte, which it's not getting a second season now because of all the hatred, which sucks.
Oh my God. You know what the
Um,
problem with Star Wars is?
hmm,
Fanboys. Fanboys
sometimes,
ruined Star Wars. Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, they can't get over the fact that this isn't your father's Star Wars,
Mhm.
and they're too critical. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. It's Star
Um,
Wars because if you guys complain enough, they will quit making them, and we will
yes,
be back to where we were before.
yes,
And you
yes,
don't want to be there.
no,
You don't want to be there. You don't want to be without Star Trek or Star Wars or Doctor Who. You want to be in this world where we have all of these things.
yeah.
And they're lovely.
Well, I think getting Kathleen Kennedy out of Star Wars is a big thing. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau taking over everything, I think, is
Mhm.
huge, and I think is a good thing for Star Wars. Um, so I'm excited. I'm excited about this stuff coming out, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah. So with that, Zig, I'll let you take over on the nerdery side of the house.
Thanks, sir. Obi-Wan Kenobi is an American space opera television miniseries produced by Lucasfilm. And it was produced for the streaming series Disney Plus. It was part of the Star Wars franchise, set 10 years after the Jedi Order was purged during the events of the film Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. The series follows surviving Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who emerges from hiding to rescue the kidnapped Princess Leia from the Galactic Empire's Inquisitors. This brings Kenobi into conflict with his former apprentice, Darth Vader. Ewan McGregor stars as the titular character, reprising his role from the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Co-stars such as Joel Edgerton, Bonnie Peace, Jimmy Smits, Hayden Christensen as Vader, and Ian McDiarmid also reprised their prequel trilogy roles. The project originated as a spin-off written by Hossein Amini and directed by Stephen Daldry, but it was reworked as a limited series following the commercial failure of the film Solo: A Star Wars Story. McGregor was confirmed to be starring in the series in August of 2019, and Deborah Chow was hired to direct all the episodes. A month later, production was scheduled to begin in July of 2020, but the series was put on hold in January 2020 because Lucasfilms was unsatisfied with the scripts.
Yep.
Joby Harold was hired to rewrite the series and serve as showrunner in April 2020, executive producing with Chow, McGregor, the aforementioned Kathleen Kennedy, and Michelle Rejwan. Additional casting took place in March of 2021. Filming began by that May in Los Angeles using stagecraft video wall technology, and wrapped by that September. Natalie Holt comprised the original score, while Star Wars film composer John Williams wrote a new main theme for Kenobi that William Ross adapted for several scenes. It premiered in May 27th, 2022, with its first two episodes. The other four episodes were released weekly through June 22nd. The series received generally positive reviews from critics, with praise directed towards McGregor's performance, the action sequences, John Williams' new main theme, the character-driven narrative, and the series' emotional weight, although the writing received some criticism. It also received the multiple accolades, including winning Best Limited Event Series for streaming and Best Guest Starring Role on Television for Hayden Christensen at the 47th Saturn Awards, as well as a nomination for Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series and 75th Primetime Emmy Awards. Let me say this about the Saturn Awards when Ewan McGregor stepped up and everybody applauded and he broke down in tears
Hmm.
because a lot of people blamed him for killing Star Wars.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people blamed, or not Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen.
Oh, okay. Thank
A
you.
lot of people blamed
Right.
Hayden Christensen
Right.
for ruining Star Wars.
Well,
And
and
it killed his career.
yes, it absolutely did. Because the thing about it is, they did. Okay, this is one of those things. George Lucas did the script,
Mhm.
and he did the writing, and he's terrible at writing scripts.
He can't write dialogue.
No,
He
he
can't.
can't write
He's a
dialogue.
world builder.
Yes.
Nobody is better at building worlds. I will say
Right.
this with my full chest. And he will bring things out from Akira Kurosawa movies in
Right.
Japan in the 50s and sci-fi serials that ran on in movies in the 1930s and
Right.
French New Wave cinema ideas from the 60s and the 70s. He's got all of that working for him. He can't write
No.
dialogue.
No, and he wrote terrible dialogue for Hayden Christensen and
Mhm.
and just made for a terrible Anakin Skywalker.
And
Go
wouldn't
look,
let Christensen ad lib.
no, go look at his acting prowess in Ahsoka.
Mhm.
Very different.
Mhm.
And you see him as he should have been written. So he takes too much flack for what I don't think was his fault
Yeah,
at
yeah, because
all.
he's done some other stuff that's great.
Yes,
What Jumper? He was
Jumper.
great in,
Yep.
yeah, he was great in Jumper. He was great in My Life as a House, and he was
Hmm.
young when he
Yeah.
made that movie. Um,
But
oh,
let me go ahead.
Broken Glass when he played Philip Glass.
Yes.
God, he was good in that.
But let me say this, coming back to Obi-Wan. They released it weekly as they do with the Star Wars stuff. I don't understand why. Why not release it all at once? So many shows have been very successful when they just drop the whole season at once. And I think it's great. I think it's great when they do that. And I'm not sure why they continue on this weekly
It's
thing.
it's because they want to create water cooler talk.
I think they still do it if they release everything at once. I still think it does. Obi-Wan, or excuse me, Kenobi, um, is very loosely taken from the book Kenobi.
Yes.
There's a lot in Kenobi that was taken from the book, or is the book Obi-Wan? No, I think it's Kenobi. A lot taken in the book because in both the book and in this show, he's alone on
Mhm.
Tatooine. He's alone, and he's hurting. He has lost faith in the Force. He has
Mhm.
lost faith in the Jedi Order, um, because he feels that they failed. And he's not really sure why. And he has been taught to commune with Qui-Gon from
Mhm.
Yoda, and he can't do it. He
No.
can't figure it out. And that happens in the book. He's a very sympathetic character because he is alone, horrifically alone.
Yes, he is.
And that's how he is in the TV series as well, which I just think was so brilliantly done. Um,
He's out
because
in the desert cutting Krat Dragon
yeah,
for food.
yeah. And uh, he's also trying to stay under the radar because he knows that the Jedi are being hunted.
Yeah.
He knows that Darth Vader is hunting the Jedi. Um, and so he's struggling with that he has to remain alone and be alone, both in the book and the TV series, and he is almost unwillingly brought back into the fray
Yeah,
and has
by
to go
Bail
out
Organa.
and be the hero again.
Yeah, by Bail Organa,
Yes,
because he gave Bail Organa a signaling device and said, use this only in emergencies.
right.
And they got a hold of Leia. And Bail Organa is, first he's like, okay, I'm a senator. This is my daughter. This is a dirty trick thing. They don't know who she is.
Hmm.
Bail Organa is worried they will find out who she is.
Right.
And because nobody knows.
Right.
And when he goes to Obi-Wan, he's trying to protect his kid because he loves that kid with everything he has.
Right.
He doesn't see her as Padme's kid, although he does see a lot of Padme in her.
Hmm.
He sees her as his kid.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he is frightened and he doesn't know what to do. So he calls the one person who may know what to do, and Obi-Wan's like, okay, but I don't know what to do because he's lost. He's going to be a hermit in the desert. He's going to work at this Krayt dragon field for as long as it holds out.
Crate dragon.
Krayt dragon, sorry. And that's what he's going to do until he dies and his bones get covered over by sand.
Mm-hmm.
When they pan on his face the first time when he's cutting that Krayt dragon up, that's what you see. It's like, oh, this guy's just a desert rat.
Right.
Is he in hiding, or is that really what he is now? That's in that first episode, you're not 100% sure. Which is why I don't know why they gave the writing bumps, because it's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, that could have been more the acting than anything else, but it really seems like the writing was, hey, are you in hiding, or are you actually just a desert rat?
Right.
Trying to survive.
The casting of the actress for Leia was brilliant. She was outstanding.
Oh my God. Yes.
The fact that we get the Sith Inquisitors in this,
yes.
We get Darth Vader back, and we get to see Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight again, not once, but twice.
And it helped. It helped something. Obi-Wan tells Luke, Darth Vader murdered your father.
Right.
And then he has to come back later on and go, from a certain point of view, yes, he did.
Right.
It's like, what? That's bullshit. And then you get the scene where he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I killed Anakin Skywalker.
Right. Yeah,
like,
and that was done very intentionally. But this is the thing. Okay. Those of us fanboys that not only watched the original trilogy, but read the books and read the comics, we understood just how powerful Darth Vader is. If all you watch is episode 4, 5, and 6, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, you don't see just how powerful Darth Vader is. In Rogue One and the Obi-Wan series, and in Kenobi, you see how massively powerful Darth Vader is.
Yeah. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes. They bring the scene straight out of the video game series The Force Unleashed, where that character brings a Star Destroyer down with the Force. You get this with Darth Vader in this, where he brings a ship down.
Yes, he does.
And you just get to see he is a master duelist, and he is incredibly powerful in the Force, especially when he has a fight with Reva, and he doesn't even have a lightsaber.
No, he does not.
And he's just avoiding it.
Yep.
Because Darth Vader is insanely powerful. And that's what I love about these. It shows it.
Yeah, it does. It actually shows it. And in the back of your head, you got to realize too, while you're watching this, how much more powerful would he be if he had his legs and other arm?
Right. If you go and read the book Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith, they talk about that. How much Anakin struggles in the
Mhm.
armor at first because he has
Yeah,
a hard time walking and has a hard time using his lightsaber, and he has to learn that all over again. And he ends up, one of the reasons he becomes so powerful is he ends up channeling all that dark side energy just to keep himself going. And he becomes so in tune with the dark side of the force that all that power just exudes from him all the time.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
just
amazing.
incredible. Just incredible.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. And you
Yes.
actually you get to see it. It's only 6 episodes, man.
Hmm.
8 episodes. No, six
Six.
episodes.
It's six.
Yeah, that's right, because they released the first two and then four after.
Yep.
So Obi-Wan's initial job, because they split the twins up. Padme had twins, Luke and Leia. They split them up. Leia goes off with Bail Organa as his kid. Nobody is the wiser. She was born on Alderaan, as far as anybody knows. Luke is just a farmer's kid, living with his aunt and uncle. Okay, Joel Edgerton as Owen Lars.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dude,
Yeah.
I just there's an
I,
inquisitor looking at him, and he just stands his ground like, yeah, this motherfucker's gonna cut me down, but you know what? Fuck him.
well,
He
and
just
I love that.
It's like, God damn.
I love as Owen Lars when he just completely cuts down Obi-Wan,
Oh my God.
just
Yeah.
completely tears him apart.
Yeah. In just
Uh,
a couple of sentences.
yeah, yeah. It just, I mean,
Like
just
what? Yeah, like what are you gonna do? What,
um,
what you
he's
wanted to
brilliant.
die?
But but this is the one part that's still to this day hard to deal with. Um, uh, how does Vader not come back to Tatooine again and search for the Lars? Um,
Well,
there's
okay.
something there.
All of that happened while he was away. Her
Hmm.
marrying Klieg or
Yeah,
Cleve?
Klieg.
Klieg. She marrying Klieg Lars, becoming part of that family. He wasn't around for any of that.
No, but he met him. He knows who they are because
Yeah.
that's a big part of the Clone Wars
Well, and yeah, but
or
in his
Attack of the
knowledge,
Clones.
Padme died and the kids died with her.
Yeah,
When they
and
buried her, she had a big pregnant belly. He
yeah,
saw that.
yeah.
Um, so, you know, honestly, hiding Luke on Tatooine is probably the safest place for him to be. Vader will never go back there unless he has to.
Which he does.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that may be what it is because he's so traumatized by,
Hmm.
what happened with his mom and what he did to the Tusken Raiders,
Hmm.
and everything like that. You may be right, but it's
Imagine, oh my God, the thought in Vader's head as the Star Destroyer's getting the Tantive 4 and he looks down, he's like, fuck this place. Fuck that. That's what's going on in his head. Again, you don't say fuck this place in Star Wars, but the Star Wars equivalent, oh, fuck this place. Two thoughts in his head. Maybe we should turn this motherfucker into glass. Or do we really need these androids, these droids? I mean, how bad could they hurt us? It's a couple of droids in the middle of nowhere. And I know it's the middle of nowhere because I was from here. Nobody wants to go back to their small town. Nobody. I get it. I think the best place to put him was on Tatooine. And, for a long time I thought, wait a minute, wouldn't Vader go back there to check? No, no, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
He
but
would avoid that place like the fucking plague.
at the same time, there's an awful big Imperial presence on Tatooine at all times.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Exactly. He doesn't need to. Because he's got plenty of dudes out there. If something pops up, he'll know it. You know.
Right.
Plus, if he ever needs to go down and cut down the huts, he'll just go do it. But why? The huts are paying them money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the huts are paying their fair share. So why fuck with it?
Okay, complete side tangent from Obi-Wan.
Mhm.
What you're talking about right there, the huts paying and everything like that, is one of the biggest reasons that I hated Shadows of the Empire, the book, um, because that book makes Darth Vader look like a money-hungry bitch. And Vader is made to look like a bitch in a
Mhm.
lot of that book, and that's one of the things I hate about Darth Vader. Ain't about money,
No, he doesn't
but
give a shit.
but in Shadows of
Well,
the
okay,
Empire, he does.
he's about you paying your fucking taxes because that's what you're fucking supposed to do.
Well, yeah, but
He
the
could give a
whole
shit about money.
right personal wealth and gain,
Oh,
but
he doesn't care.
Shadows of the Empire makes it seem like he does.
Well, okay. Was he actually about personal wealth and gain, or was he just fucking with Zizor?
He was all about personal wealth and gain. They talk about that in Shadows of the Empire.
Oh
They
wow.
they get inside of his head, and it's really bad. It's really, really bad, and it was a terrible job.
Yeah.
It could have been such a much better story, but
Hmm.
literally they made him into a money hungry bitch.
Yeah.
So very, very weird about Darth Vader because he does not care about wealth. He cares about power.
Yeah. I don't think I read that one.
Yeah.
I was one of the ones I didn't read. I read a bunch of the trilogy, the adventure trilogies.
Here's the only importance about
Dark
Shadows of the
Saber.
Empire. Oh,
Hmm.
Darksaber. Here, the only thing that's important about Shadows of the Empire is it tells you how Leia gets the Bausch outfit and
Hmm.
the thermal grenade.
Oh.
That's the only thing important about it that leads into
Oh.
Return of the
Okay.
Jedi.
Well, there you go.
Because she that's exactly where she gets that is in the book Shadows of the Empire.
Nice.
So, which came out after
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, but
Yes.
whatever.
But it takes place before.
Yes.
So again, Kenobi's job is to keep an eye on Luke tentatively, but again, he's kind of failing. Luke's fine. The Lars don't want him around because they don't
Right.
want to draw attention and get that kid killed because they love that kid. Um,
Well, Owen Lars
mhm,
believes, and you get this once we get to Star Wars. Owen Lars believes that Obi-Wan is just waiting for his moment
mhm.
to take Luke and take him on a crusade.
Yeah, and get him killed.
Yes.
That's why he doesn't want him to join the
Yes.
academy. He's like,
Yes.
no, I need you here. I
Yep.
need you here, working on robots, doing everything else. You're God, and you got to think he didn't really know Anakin, but Anakin's mom probably told him everything. Oh, that kid could build anything. He could work on anything. And he's watching Luke work on these speeders and all this stuff and how he's a great pilot. And God damn,
Mm-hmm.
I wish he quit running around with them boys trying to join the rebellion
Mm-hmm.
because he's just going to get himself killed,
Mm-hmm.
and fucking Obi-Wan over there on the cliff. Yeah, exactly. I really, I think Owen Lars is the most sympathetic character in this story. I really do. Um, I like Leia. Again, I like Bail Organa. You got Obi-Wan who's broken, Vader, who is the tragic character. All this other stuff going on. Owen Lars is, no, we're gonna fucking farm this moisture. We're gonna trade. We're gonna make us a good life in this desert, and boy, I'm gonna keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he's concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
And again, played wonderfully again by Joel Edgerton, who was just basically a punk kid in the original series or the original the prequel trilogies.
Right.
So yeah, Kenobi's called on to rescue Leia from the Galactic Empire. Now again, originally They just kidnapped her because she's a senator's daughter.
Right.
You know, they don't know who she is, but Bail Organa is really worried. And it's after Order 66. So as soon as they put her under, if the wrong person walked across that kid, they're going to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. So this is about 10 years after Order 66. So, let's go ahead and talk about where we are in the series. So we talked about Solo as a Star Wars story. We're at Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tales of the Empire is actually occurring while this is going on. We probably won't talk about Tales of the Empire or Tales of the Jedi until the end, just because they're taking place all through this.
Right.
The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be Rebels, because that's what happens next. Other than the fact that all of these episodes of Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire are going on within this story framework.
Right.
But yeah, Obi-Wan's got to deal with bounty hunters. He's trying to talk to his master Qui-Gon Jinn, and he can't do it. He has to go back to Alderaan. He's got to go talk to some underworld figures, meet up a couple on the run Jedi. He doesn't want to do any of it. And it basically comes down to a showdown between him and Darth Vader. Darth Vader is so single-minded about killing Obi-Wan that he does not realize who that kid is.
Right.
And that is the only thing that saved her. Only thing. If he hadn't been single-minded about tearing up Obi-Wan Kenobi and Obi-Wan Kenobi whooping his ass. Okay, did he whoop his ass?
Yes.
That was I don't know, that's a pretty close fight. Vader was ready.
Right, but the second fight, yeah, he kicked his ass because he once again embraced the Force and embraced being a Jedi, and Obi-Wan's power came out.
Yeah.
And he was able to best Darth Vader. And yes, was it a great fight? Absolutely. It was everything we ever wanted.
Yeah.
It was everything we ever wanted to see.
Well, yeah, because the original Star Wars fight between Vader and Obi-Wan was so slow
and that's been redone. There's a fan film out there, a very good fan film out there that's redone that fight.
It's because George Lucas changed his idea originally, and Mark Hamill's talked about it, that George was like, no, you can't do flourishes. These things are heavy.
Right.
They should be heavy and hard to use. You need to wield them like samurai.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, hold on. Samurai were pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but these are heavy. Like, I think George Lucas's idea originally, because he used it from a type of light, which was exceedingly heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a neon light. The hilt was about this big. It had a light stick off the end. You put it on a mount, and it backlit stuff behind you. We don't use those anymore,
right?
Because we have way better lighting now.
But the final battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan was just everything we had ever wanted and more. It was wonderful. And like I said, it was Obi-Wan coming back into the to the Force, coming back to the Force, embracing his Jedi training and being the knight, the great general he was. And it's worth, if you like nothing else about Kenobi, that battle scene is worth it.
Fight.
Yes,
he splits Vader's mask in half, and you get Vader's voice overlaid with Anakin's voice, because Vader uses a voice disguiser.
Yep,
it's not because he got messed up; he wants to sound that way, and you get a little bit of both of it. And his labored breathing, because he's got that breathing mask, because his lungs are exposed.
Yep.
And here's the thing: they could have fixed that. They have Bacta. Bacta can fix year-old scars as we saw in The Mandalorian.
Well, okay, so let's put a fine point about that.
Mhm.
That's actually covered in Star Wars. Is it Battlegrounds? There's a book which um, is about Barriss Offee, who is
Mhm.
a Jedi healer,
Mhm.
and where she is stationed is the planet where they harvest Bacta, the
Mhm.
plant to make Bacta. It's very rare.
Mhm.
It's very with the whole thing um, in the Book of Boba Fett with Boba Fett being in that Bacta tank so many times throughout that thing. That's amazing because they talk about in the books that after somebody comes out of a Bacta tank, before they can go back to their bed or go back to work or anything like that, they actually have to drain every piece of Bacta out of them because
Mhm.
it's so rare. They have to
They could
they
reuse it.
yes, they have to be able to reuse it. So yes, could they have done that with Vader? Yes, but Bacta is hard to come by.
Yes, and I think it also had something to do with the fact that the Emperor wanted to keep him weakened.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He wanted to keep he constantly kept him on his toes so that
Mhm.
he wouldn't rise up against him.
Yeah, because even though Vader turned to the dark side, he is still the chosen one and is supposed to bring balance to the Force.
Right.
Plain and simple. And honestly, he eventually does.
Yes.
He
Yes.
eventually does. That's exactly what he was supposed to do. Uh, but yeah, this takes place after the sadness that was Order 66, and you get a lot of crazy stuff going on in the background. There's intrigue, but you actually get to see it. Whereas, again, with the prequels, my big problem with that is they focused on all the pod races and the space battles and the buzz droids and everything else. They couldn't have had one scene where they talk about, what they're gonna do. Well, no, we can't be too political about it. Dude, you're going from a republic to an empire. There's some heady shit going on with that. We can give them one scene. We get that in Kenobi. We finally get what's going on in the background. It's important, which is why I like it. I thought, when they were talking about the writing being bad in Kenobi, I'm like, what the fuck? What series were you watching?
But you do get the political in the prequel because you have the whole council scene with all the senators talking about what they need to do and what the army they need to raise and everything like that. And that was Palpatine engineering everything. So we
Mhm.
had that.
Yeah, but you don't get it. You don't get it in the last episode 3 because there was too much other stuff going on. It's
Hmm.
like they actually filmed those scenes. They ended up getting cut. And I think it would have made the story make more sense. Yes, at the beginning it's very political and there's all this stuff moving in the background. Might have made that movie a little dull, but we had, 30 minutes of pod racing to make up for that.
Well, and that's one of the reasons some people don't like Andor's because they felt it was too political. And I thought it was done very well in Andor is
Yeah.
that they, helped progress that whole political agenda that was going on,
Uh-huh.
leading all the way up to the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can mix that with action. I understand you want some action to happen like every 15 minutes. I get it.
Hmm.
You really do. You want something salacious going on every 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, fine. You can put the other stuff in too. You
Right.
got time in between those 10 to 15-minute marks. And I think, as you said, with Andor and with this series, they dovetailed that stuff in perfectly.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because yeah, yes, the movies are more for children. These series are not. These series are for adults. Yeah, your children can watch them and really enjoy them. But that's what it's about. It's yes, I've got some good. I've got probably the greatest lightsaber fight that's ever been fought on camera. and I've got all this other stuff going on in the background. I've got the Republic falling apart because it's becoming an empire. You get a lot of that in Andor. It's like, hey, they never used to arrest people for this and throw them in prison. Oh
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
that's how we do things now.
Another thing about Kenobi that I think they do real well is they show how much how much backstabbing is going on, and people who are just trying to make it to the top, and they will do
Oh yeah.
anything to get there
Yes.
because
Yes.
Reva thinks she can take over for Vader. She thinks she can
Mhm.
be the Emperor's right hand person.
Yeah.
Um, you
It's
know,
in any fascistic government, you have that. That's what is inevitably there, or I say fascistic. In the Stalinist government, same thing happened.
right.
Any authoritarian government, maybe I should say it that way. In history, anytime we have an authoritarian government, there's a lot of political intrigue and backstabbing going on behind it because that's how you get ahead.
Right.
And of course they're going to have that. And again, props to Kenobi and Andor for showing that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Props, because that's how that works. Um, any student of history, any student of history would kind of knows that. That's why the Third Reich fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it didn't hurt that the Russians had a million T-34 tank. Well, it wasn't a million, but it was
Yeah,
a lot of
right.
T-34 tanks, and we had every B1 through 1,000 dropping tons of bombs in Europe. In the Maquis in France and stuff like that. The political backstabbing inside of the Third Reich helped us more than I think people realize. And they didn't even know they were helping us at the time. The same applies here.
Hmm.
The same applies here. Certainly in the Star Wars universe, they want to portray that. I think they went more. I don't think they were so much wanting to point towards Nazi Germany. I think they were more pointing towards Italy, let's say, because it seems to work a little more like Italy because Italy basically fell apart because of that political backstabbing. They couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Um, there you go. That's what's going on in Star Wars. It's brilliant. Um, and you do, yes, it's sad. Um, because Padme lost her life, and you get a lot of that. Harkening back to that when Obi-Wan's watching Leia and he's watching how much she reminds him of Padme, his friend, and Order 66 was terrible, and if the wrong person found out who she was, they'd kill her out on the spot. Reva, if Reva had figured it out, they'd have been in trouble. But
Right.
again, same thing. She was worried about becoming the Emperor's right-hand man by replacing her superior and eventually Vader, that she wasn't directing her her attention to this kid because this is a senator's daughter. It's not, it's not an escaped Jedi or Force sensitive. But yeah, I really love it. And I love the cast was good. I thought the writing was awesome.
Agreed.
The special effects were good. The cinematography was
Yes.
outstanding.
Well, the cinematography, the choreography,
Oh,
all of it was great. I mean, Obi-Wan, I overall it is one of my favorites. It's time for me to watch that again. I
yeah,
need to
I'm
boot
thinking
that
the
up and
same
watch
thing. I
it
was like,
again.
I need to watch that.
Um, because it was so good. They have they have officially greenlit a season two now. That was in question for a while.
How are they going to do it though?
I don't know. Who
Unless
knows?
unless it's gonna be like a space western where he's just helping people out in Tatooine.
Well, and it could be. They could actually go to the book Kenobi, which is a space western where
Mhm.
he's back into his cave and he's back in hiding, and because in the book he goes and he trades at this local trade market, and he gets sucked into a local power struggle and
Hmm.
ends up having to come out and be the hero again. They could absolutely do that. You would love that story. If you haven't read the book, read the book because it's brilliant. So they could do that.
Hmm.
But yeah, they have greenlit a season 2.
Nice. Nice. Well, that about wraps it up for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Awesome.
Yeah, we went on like an hour talking about 6 episodes.
No, easy to do because there was
Yes, yes, it
so
is.
much talk about on that. So
Yep,
no, that's great. That's awesome.
and it's good. It's really good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. All right. So with that, then I will step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
So today I got my information off Medium, the New York Post, ABC, NBC4 New York, Fox News, and Reddit. Um, on April 16th, 2023, I
Hmm.
discussed the Island serial killer, or Lisk, and the Gilgo
Yep,
4. We're going to
yep.
revisit it. We're going to
Okay.
talk about it again. Why am I going to talk about it again? There's
Why?
there's been an arrest.
They found him?
They believe they have. And
Okay.
so there's new information that's come out about this case. So I will do this from time to time if we have an unsolved case with major developments. This was an unsolved case.
Yeah,
And
that dude
there,
killed a lot of people.
yes, he did. So I am telling this story again. Those of you who remember it back from 2023, again, April 16th, 2023, you can hear the original where I discussed the Long Island serial killer. But we're going to talk about it again because there have been major developments, and it's really caused authorities to reevaluate some of their previously held assumptions. Their original suspect they had was John Bittrolf, but it does appear he was not the killer. This past July, police arrested 60-year-old Rex Hireman at his
Massapequa.
Massapequa Park, Long Island home, and charged him with the murder of 4 women, who eventually became known as the Gilgo Four.
Hmm.
Rex Hireman was a 60-year-old married father of 2 and an architect working in Manhattan. The
Hmm.
Gilgo Four was 22-year-old Megan Waterman, 25-year-old Maureen Brainerd Barnes, and 24-year-old Melissa Barthelme, and 27-year-old Amberlynn Costello. All 4 women worked as escorts, and all 4 disappeared after attending an appointment with a client.
Hmm.
Megan Waterman was from Scarborough, Maine, and she advertised as an escort on Craigslist. She had been last seen leaving a hotel several miles northeast of where the bodies were eventually found. Maureen Brainerd Barnes had been missing since July 9th, 2007. Melissa Barthelme had been from Buffalo originally, but had been living in the Bronx and had been missing since July 12th, 2009. Amberlynn Costello had last been seen in December 2010 in North Babylon on Long Island, and Megan Waterman was the first to be found, and her death was originally ruled a homicide. The remains of all 4 women were discovered in December of 2010 while police were investigating the disappearance of another woman named Shannon Gilbert. So Shannon Gilbert is the one that really kicked off this whole thing that they had a
Yes.
serial killer on their hands,
Yes.
that these were all related. Um, During her search, which spanned for 3 days, that's when the remains of the 4 women were discovered, all within a quarter-mile radius, and all were about 500 feet from one another. And I need to make sure when I do the episode on this that I put the maps that
Of
show
Gilgo
this
Beach.
because I think it's very important to see the maps. Um, Richard Dormer, the commissioner of the Suffolk County Police Department, stated that the location of the bodies was not a coincidence, and they appeared to have been dumped on the side of the roadway by the same person or persons. From December 2010 to December 2011, the remains of 10 individuals were found in the area of Gilgo Beach, including those of Shannon Gilbert, whose disappearance had again initiated the search and the discovery of others. If it hadn't been for the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert, this guy
Hmm.
may have never been caught.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry, I was just looking up maps of Gilgo Beach. There's not a lot out there.
no, but if you look up the Long Island serial killer, you'll see maps that have very specific pinpoints that show where the bodies were found.
Wow.
Um, Prior to to this discovery, four bodies had previously found in the area. They were Sandra Costilla, whose remains were found by hunters in 1993. Jane Doe, who was nicknamed Peaches because of a peach tattoo, whose partial remains were discovered in Hempstead Lake Park in 1997. Valerie Mack, a 24-year-old woman whose partial remains were found in September 2000 in Manorville, and 20-year-old Jessica Taylor, whose partial remains were also discovered in Manorville in July of 2003. Um, at first, they thought these cases were unrelated to the 10 victims found between December 2010 and 2011. Um, and most of the victims were young women in their 20s who were working as escorts when they disappeared. All one MO. The exception to this was the remains of an infant who was between 18 and 24 months, discovered in April 2011, and a young Asian man who was between 18 and 22 years old and he was wearing women's clothes. So I kind of think they are related, and
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those where you have a serial killer who was changing MOs because they were evolving.
Yeah, they were
That's
figuring it
why
out.
Yeah, well, that's why I think we have the differences with the infant and the young Asian man. That or he was caught in the
Yeah,
act
yeah.
of another
He
one.
he was worried that there were people at that section, so he had to go a little further down the road. They're
Yes.
still not that far apart. I mean, we're
No,
only talking a couple of miles.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the young Asian man was either evolving or he caught Rex Hireman
Hmm.
in the act. Um,
And he killed him too.
Yeah. The baby, DNA testing later revealed that the baby was actually the daughter of the Jane Doe named Peaches, who they found in 1997.
That's why they're close together.
Yes, yes. It's likely they were murdered at the same time. The identity of the young Asian man has yet to be determined today.
Hmm.
When Rex Hireman was arrested last July, he was indicted for the murders of Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthelme, Amber Costello, and Maureen Brainerd Barnes. However, new evidence has emerged that led authorities to charge him with two more killings. He has been charged with the murders of Sandra Costilla and Jessica Taylor. He's still a person of interest in the 2000 murder of Valerie Mack. And and Sandra Costilla, whose remains were found by hunters in 93, was originally thought to have been possibly a victim of the serial killer John Bittroff, which we mentioned earlier, who
Hmm.
was active in the area at the time, which is why they were thinking he might have been the Long Island serial killer.
Okay.
What was really damning is recent DNA testing on hairs recovered at the scene have now been linked to Hireman, which has prompted the additional charges. These new developments have challenged authorities' previously held assumptions about the scope and span of Hireman's alleged killings. So, 23-year-old Shannon Gilbert was last seen alive in the morning hours of May 1st, 2010. She had been working as an escort that night, and her driver had driven them from the client's home in the Oak Beach community on Long Island. She was an aspiring actress from Jersey City, New Jersey, but worked as an escort. And shortly before 5 a.m., Shannon Gilbert placed a frantic 23-minute phone call to 911 saying someone was after her and they were trying to kill her. She attempted to get help by banging on neighbors' doors before she fled into the night screaming. And then throughout the summer of 2010, the Suffolk County Police searched for Shannon without success. Then in December of 2010, Officer John Malia, who was of the Missing Persons Bureau, was out walking his German Shepherd, who was a cadaver dog, along the Ocean Parkway, and the dog hit a
Smart.
scent.
I'll take that old cadaver dog. I'll just take it on walks.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'll take that old cadaver dog when he's ready to retire, and we'll just go on
yep.
walks. Smart.
Well, the dog hit on a scent, and Officer Malia found a skeleton wrapped in a deteriorating burlap sack. The remains would later be identified as the 24-year-old Melissa Barthelme, who had disappeared in 2009. And it was over the next 2 days that police would find three more sets of remains, each all about 500 feet apart, as you were talking about in that map.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not, yeah. Well, I mean, even the furthest one The furthest two apart are maybe only a couple of miles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then again, I also got to remember, New York's not that big.
No.
Especially the Long Island, the city. It's like, oh, it's a big Long Island. No, not really.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No, not compared to where we're from.
Right. Yeah. No, New York just looks big when you see it in the movies and things like that. It's
Yeah.
really not as big as you think.
No, it's really small.
Um,
Area-wise, it's small.
correct. Correct. So these three victims who are identified again were the 22-year-old Megan Waterman. She disappeared in June of 2010 after she took a bus from her home in Maine to New York City to meet a client. 25-year-old Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who disappeared in July 2007. She had taken an Amtrak from her home in Norwich, Connecticut to New York's Grand Central Terminal. And 27-year-old Amberlynn Costello, who vanished after leaving her home in West Babylon, New York, where she went to meet a client on September 2nd, 2010. So again, collectively, these four women became known as the Gilgo Four. And their discovery from December 11th to December 13th, 2010, all but confirmed to police they were dealing with at least one active serial killer in the area. And after the discovery of the four victims, investigators continued to search the area in an effort to find the remains of Shannon Gilbert, as well as locate any other potential victims. On March 29th, 2011, human remains were found along Ocean Parkway and initially labeled as Jane Doe number 5. They were later confirmed to be the 20-year-old Jessica Taylor, who had been found dumped in Manorville in 2003. On April 4th, 2011, more human bones were found along Ocean Parkway, and these were initially labeled as Jane Doe number 6, which later was identified as Valerie Mack. And then the same day, investigators also discovered the remains of an unidentified Asian male and the remains of a toddler, who again was later determined to be the biological daughter of Peaches, who was discovered in 1997. Finally, on December 13th, 2011, which was exactly 1 year to the day that the three of the first four bodies were found, investigators did find the skeletal remains of Shannon Gilbert. They were found in a marsh about a half mile from where she had last been seen. However, her family and friends were stunned when on May 4th, 2012, Shannon's death was ruled an accidental drowning by the Suffolk County Medical Examiner. Authorities claim that Shannon Gilbert was likely under the influence and accidentally drowned in the marsh. They have said her death was inconclusive or death by misadventure, even though there was a recorded phone call of Shannon frantically telling the dispatcher that someone was trying to kill her. In December of 2012, Shannon's mother, Mary, filed a lawsuit against the Suffolk County Police Department. And in September 2014, an independent pathologist re-examined Shannon's remains. During the examination, he concluded that Shannon's hyoid bone had been damaged, suggesting she had been strangled.
Mm-hmm.
Despite this, her death is still ruled as accidental. In 2020, the New York State Supreme Court ordered the Suffolk County Police Department to release the recording of Shannon's phone call, and they complied with this order in May of 2022. That's kind of where we are on that.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, the investigation was hindered by the Suffolk County Police Department's reluctance to work with other agencies on the case. Then in 2015, they announced the FBI had officially joined the investigation, which this came 2 months after the former police chief resigned amid corruption investigations. He was actually sentenced to 46 months in prison in 2016. Under former Chief James Burke, the FBI had assisted in the search of the victims, but was not officially involved in the investigation, so the progress on the investigation remained slow. Then in January of 2020, investigators released a photo of a black leather belt with half-inch embossed letters, which were thought to be either WH or HM. Officials stated they believed that the belt was used by the killer. So Rex Hireman became our suspect in May 2022 when a Chevrolet pickup truck that he owned was linked to one of the murders by an eyewitness. On July 26, 2003, the day that two dog walkers found the severed legs and torso of 20-year-old Jessica Taylor, a witness remembered earlier seeing a dark-colored Chevrolet pickup truck in the wooded area where the remains were found. So this breathed new life into the investigations, and authorities started charting the calls and travels of multiple cell phones, picked apart email aliases, and delved into search histories and collected discarded bottles and even a pizza crust for advanced DNA testing. Detectives said that Rex Hireman's DNA on the pizza crust is the one that matched a hair that was found on a restraint used in the killings.
Huh.
As investigators scrutinized Hireman's phone records and internet browsing history, the results were even more damning. Police said that Hireman had made phone calls to at least 3 of the victims, often using burner phones. Hireman is also said to have maliciously called and taunted the family of Melissa Barthelme on at least 5 occasions shortly after her murder. He would tell family members, including her little sister, that he had raped and murdered Melissa.
Oh my God.
His internet history was also examined, and it contained very suspicious inquiries, including how not to leave forensic evidence, torture methods, and searches about the victims and their families, as well as police progress in the case. After the arrest, investigators spent nearly 2 weeks combing through Rex Hireman's home, including digging up the yard, dismantling a porch and greenhouse, and removing many contents in the house for testing. Investigators found hundreds of electronic devices during their lengthy search of Rex Hireman's home, and prosecutors say the devices contain a collection of bondage and torture pornography. They also detailed thousands of Google search histories that Hireman allegedly made for various graphic pornography and nearby sex workers. He allegedly made 200 Google searches between March 22 and June 23 related to the disappearances of Brainerd Barnes, Bartholomew, Waterman, and Costello. The Google searches included: why would law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island serial killer? Why hasn't the Long Island serial killer been caught? And in Long Island serial killer investigation, new phone technology may be the key to breaking the case. And there were many more searches
Oh, he
other
was
than
getting
that.
worried.
He was getting worried.
He was getting worried.
So he was arrested in July of 2023, charged with 4 counts of first and second degree murder in the killings of the Gilgo Four. Once they searched his home, they discovered even more chilling evidence. These included notes on the killings, a reminder of things to do, quote, better next time.
Mm-hmm.
They found the sadistic bondage and torture pornography on his hard drive. Interestingly, they found 2 books written by John Douglas, the former FBI agent behind Mindhunter and the Cases That Haunt Us.
Oh, wow.
He appeared to have taken notes from these books on how to avoid detection and apprehension. Based on the new evidence seized from Hireman's residence, as well as recent DNA testing, he has been charged with 2 additional counts. That's the murder of Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla. Investigators are still looking for Hireman's possible involvement in the murder of Valerie Mack. As of June of this year, he stands accused of 6 murders. A date for his trial has not yet been set. He has pleaded not guilty to all 6 counts. His lawyer, Michael Brown, said the evidence is, quote, extremely circumstantial, and told reporters that his client said, quote, I didn't do this through tears. Bullshit. Brown said, we obviously don't have any evidence. This is the beginning of the case. Everybody is presumed innocent in our country. There's a presumption of innocence, and we're looking forward to fighting this case in a court of law, not in a court of public opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Rex Hireman looks forward to defending himself in court. If he is convicted, he faces several life sentences without the possibility of parole. I think this guy is heinously guilty. I think there's no doubt that he's guilty. I think they have all the evidence they need.
He's a narcissist and a sociopath. He thinks he's going to get away with it.
Yeah.
He thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room.
I understand it's his lawyer's job, but I can't understand how his lawyer says the evidence is extremely circumstantial. I think
evidence is extremely circumstantial. We will get convicted in a court of law, not the court of opinion.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's getting paid to say.
I know.
That's his job.
I'm sorry.
And
they have DNA evidence they've matched to him.
Yeah.
We have evidence. It's not circumstantial.
Yeah. Yeah. He's trying to prep the jury before they get sued.
I know. I think it's
he's trying everything he can to defend his client. And you know what? I don't want to talk shit about defense attorneys, because that is their job. They are defining the rule of law, and you cannot get mad at them for doing that.
Oh, no.
That's what they're supposed to do. But come on.
I know.
Just don't say that out loud, because it just makes you look like a dick.
It does, but that is absolutely correct. They have to do everything they can to sway a jury, and they have to say everything they can.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
When
gonna
it's
say
over,
things.
he can totally say, "Oh yeah, that dude was so fucking guilty."
No, he can't.
Yeah, he can. If they find him guilty and the trial's over, the lawyer can talk all he wants.
Well, he can say his opinion,
Exactly. He
but
can say his opinion, but
but
he can't even do that beforehand.
but if Rex Hireman privately tells him, "Yeah, I did it. I killed them all," he can never say anything. That is
Nope.
attorney-client privilege.
Nope. Nope.
Um,
He can
and
he can throw the case.
he can throw the case, but that's subject for disbarment.
Yes, it is.
You know, so I mean, so they got to do everything they can to win the case for their client.
Yep.
So he's gonna say this. You know, the fact that he said that Rex Hireman is looking to defend himself in court. I don't know if that means he's going to take the stand. That's very often in a murder trial a bad idea.
Yeah, always a bad idea to defend yourself in a murder
Not
trial.
defend yourself, but get on the
Yeah.
stand.
Don't get on the stand.
Yeah, they don't like murder suspects to get on the stand.
No, because they motherfucker will perjure themselves and just makes it worse.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'm going to follow this case. Like I said, I apologize. This is a revisit of a past episode. I know we just did that recently.
Yeah, but you brought new stuff to
Yes,
it.
there was new stuff.
And you told that story from a different angle.
Yeah.
So I didn't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a revisit at all.
And like I said, I'm going to do this from time to time. The one I did previously was really kind of to give us a peek into our patrons, so you could see what was coming out there. But when I get stories like this where we have a resolution, if that resolution brings the story into a different light, I will retell these. And this was one that I wanted to retell.
Yeah. Well, and again, I would like to compliment you. You retold it, but you didn't retell it the exact same way.
No.
You came at it from a different angle, and I thought that was expertly done, sir.
Thank you. Well, I saw things in a different way because you go back to the original episode that we covered. I was agreeing that it was probably John Bittroff because he was a serial killer in the area, and it was most likely him.
Operating in the same area.
Yes. Yeah. And so it really kind of hit me like a ton of bricks when I saw a news article. It was actually this week. I researched this week. I found this story. I was like, nice. Oh my God, they have an arrest. And so
you said something. Hey, we may need to revisit one. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's the revisit of the Long Island serial killer and the Gilgo 4.
Thank you, sir.
So awesome. Appreciate you sticking around with me for that, and appreciate our listeners to listen to it. I hope you did enjoy it. That will take us to the end of another recording week. We hope you enjoyed this week. You can find more information about us on nerderyandmurdery.com. That's our hub where you'll find everything we talk about. You'll find the links to the subject matter that we had here, plus pictures. Plus, you will find the link to our YouTube page, which Zig so often updates.
Yes, we have got some good scenes from Obi-Wan. You guys need to check those out. Some good stuff on there.
Awesome. Appreciate all the work you do on that.
Thanks, sir.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page where if you wish to show off your Nerdery and Murdery fandom, please do consider purchasing something from there. That, along with our patrons, you can find the link to our Patreon account where if you wish to become a patron and help donate to the costs that are associated with the show, that, along with our merchandise, helps keeps us going. There are costs that are associated with keeping us on the air, and we do appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. Last but not least, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It's completely free, helps us, and helps others find our content that may be looking for the topics we discuss. So with that,
I have been Zig with your Nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your Murdery.
Cue the music.
Static crackles, dreams stay, nerdery and murdery fade. Voices in the wire, two dudes light the fire. Obsession and confession, games in death procession. Through the microphone they speak, dark secrets geeks seek. twist. Learn nerdery, murdery, crazy blend. Horror tales that never end. Dice roll, blood spills. Hot task thrill. The mind fills. The mind fills. The mind fills. The mind fills. Techie talk, ghostly howl, keep them's graveyard prowl. Mingling thoughts collide, fascination can't hide. Retro vibes, ancient lore, never know what's in store. On your front adventure, burnt each episode a twist learned.